Well, Sally, I'm not sure whether we're going to have a meeting. It's 3:32 p.m.
Okay.
I guess, can we have an informal discussion?
Yes, can go ahead with the meeting. It's
Oh.
just if there was an action item on the agenda today, you would not have been able to take action
Okay.
on it.
Okay.
But as long as there's members here, we can still have a discussion meeting.
Okay.
All right. So I will hold reading the rules of decorum and the civility statement and the public comment statement until next meeting, when we will hopefully have more members here. And that will also be a meeting where we will need to vote for the new chair, vice chair.
Right.
So that seems to be an appropriate time to do that again.
Oh, before we leave that, it might be good to do a reminder message a day or two before, so we can make sure for that meeting we have.
Have an updated schedule. So
Yeah.
it goes from
Great.
3:30 to 1:30 is the new.
Oh, that's another.
I've sworn we agreed to go the next week.
Yeah.
In October. I was so
Yeah,
confused.
it so happened that the October meeting was already scheduled from last year, so this is kind of the
Okay.
hanging over meeting.
So what is the time and the date for that meeting? December meeting.
The December meeting, I unfortunately don't have it on me. I sent it to you in the
Okay, you
last
sent it
email.
to us, but it's at 1:30.
Yes. Actually, here we go.
That probably deserves a double reminder message.
Yeah, so December 12th at
December
1:30 is the next meeting.
Okay. So what do we do next?
Well, I just want to, as you know, Ryan and I are here.
Here comes Chris.
Just wanted to report that Trey Asner did submit his resignation in August. And we are currently revising or reviewing that position. In the interim, both Ryan and I will be available to whoever, needs assistance. Still communicate with Ryan on any of the agenda items that you would like to see on the agenda. And then that leads us into the regular agenda for today.
Okay, so we don't have a formal meeting, so we're going to hold the minutes from the August meeting, is it the August meeting? Until December, when we hope to have a quorum to do business. So the only item that we have today, a substantive item, is the discussion of the A1A survey. And there's a narrative synopsis that's available here at the meeting. So is there an introductory discussion on that?
Yeah, I can read a little bit from the summary and the recommendations and basically just give a quick update.
Okay.
So the two grants that we had for 2020 that now have been completed successfully, they were closed out in August of this year in accordance with the contracts that the county had with the contractors and the consultants, as well as the state grant requirements. So that has
There
been
were two grants related to this?
correct. So we have
Related to the A1A survey, there were two different grant activities, or how?
the A1A survey being one of them, and then the
Oh.
other one being the cultural interpretation program. That's with the signage.
Oh,
so those are the
okay,
two
okay,
grants.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And so the A1A survey, just a point on that one, I sent to the board members a link to the county FTP site. So you should be able to pull up the full final survey, and which will be eventually, we'll get that uploaded to the county's website for public ease and access. So that'll be the full survey will be available.
In the interim, any of the public that would like to see the survey, you can also give them the FTP site so that they can pull it up themselves until we can get it out on the web.
Correct. And so I can go in and start a little bit of the summary here for the record. It was a reconnaissance survey of State Road A1A between Volano Beach and Ponte Vedra Beach. Basically, it's both sides of the road. So, as Ponte Vedra Boulevard, we focused on the coastal area. So, how A1A sort of goes off in Ponte Vedra. So this, starting from the northern county line, it's Ponte Vedra Boulevard down to Michler's, jogs over to Coastal Highway, that all the way down to Volano, and then both sides of Volano Road was the study area. And so the survey was completed to create an inventory of buildings and structures that are 45 years or older. Each building constructed in 1977 or earlier was photographed and documented using the FMSF forms in accordance with Florida's Division of Historic Resources survey guidelines. And so the consultant the county hired was GAI Consultants. They're architectural historians, and they documented a total of 321 resources consistent with the contract and the grant. And of these resources, 168 were newly recorded and 153 were previously recorded. Of the surveyed resources, 5 are recommended individually eligible, and they're listed in the recommendations there. And so additionally, 43 resources are recommended as contributing to a potential NRHP eligible historic district located in Volano Beach. One of them is both recommended contributing to the historic district and individually under NRHP eligible. Of the previously recorded survey resources, 57 are demolished. The remaining 217 resources are recommended not eligible for the NRHP due to the lack of significance or integrity.
So the previously recorded ones, were they all recorded by a past survey?
Correct. Yeah, there have been recent surveys done, which are also listed in this report. And so they are also on the Florida Master Site file.
Okay, so there was a past survey that recorded a number of properties.
Well, if I could clarify, it wasn't a survey similar to this. It's as people come in to develop, we will, as the county, will ask for surveys to be done to see what
Okay,
resources
like
are
if
in
there's a
the area.
scrape off of an old 1930s
Yeah, exactly.
beach house to build a larger,
Right.
newer one. Okay, yeah, well, there's been a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
A1A. Okay,
Yeah, and the report goes into, the different types of things that went on here historically in the county in that area. So in conclusion, these resources retain sufficient integrity to convey their significance, reflecting the tourism-based economy of the region during the mid-20th century. GAI Consultants recommends 5 resources as individually eligible for listing in the NRHP, along with the 43 documented resources as contributing to the potential Volano Beach Historic District. One of these resources is recommended both individually eligible and contributing, and that was the Nice House. And so that concludes the A1A
These
survey.
houses within the district that's been recommended.
I believe so, since it's right there at the northern edge of Volano.
Okay. It's actually a ways out from
Yeah.
it.
Well, let's
I think
see.
that's just one of the 5 recommended eligible.
Yeah, I've listed
Yeah.
those 5. I've got their addresses here. I can list them. One of them is the Nice House.
Is there a map as to where the district, the recommended district?
Yes, there is a map in the report.
Is that presumably along Volano Road?
Yes, yeah, most of it's focused there along Volano Road.
And there were 43, that's what you said, 43 structures within that district
Correct, 43 documented resources.
as contributing, not necessarily as NR eligible on their own. Were there any NR eligible? Sorry, I guess I can read it, but
Yeah,
just curious.
The way it's written there are 5 that are individually eligible. They're termed resources. I assume those are structures.
correct.
So we have 5 structures that are individually eligible.
Right.
I wonder which ones they would be.
I've got I can list their addresses if you'd like.
Yeah.
The report's 235 pages long.
Yeah, that's why I didn't print them all out, since, I just wanted the abstract and the conclusions.
Well, somewhere between the full report and this, it seems like there should be something that this board could discuss as a group.
Yes, I would
Rather
like
than-
to suggest that.
Because if we individually go to, read it, we're not discussing it as a board. I probably especially if it recommends actions. Anyway, that's fine. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr.
Of
Rudd.
those 200, I would like to clarify too, of those 235 pages, a lot of it is just the Florida Master Site File forms
Yeah.
on each one of
Yeah.
these structures. So you could read the abstract or the executive summary and go straight to the ones that were listed or straight to
Yeah.
the area. You don't have to read through all, 200 pages of it.
Yeah, it's tables, photo documentation, and the forms is really the meat of the report.
But I would urge you all to go into it. We found it very interesting and,
I did too.
Yeah.
Then your eyes start to crawl.
Yeah, it's a lot of information.
The consultant that did this is not available to come and do a presentation.
Correct, yeah, they've closed their contract out with the county.
Okay. What was the amount of the contract?
It's close to the actual $50,000. It's a small matching grant,
Oh, okay.
so it came in just underneath that.
Oh, that's too bad. We did get a briefing on the Hastings project a couple years ago, and the consultant did that. They did it by teleconference from their firm in Tallahassee. But it would be a tool or a way to engage this entire board in a discussion, is my thought, especially, again, since it's recommending certain actions.
Right.
Well, that wasn't written into the contract. We could certainly make a phone call and see if they would be willing to speak on the phone,
Well, we'll see, but it's just me, if there's
No, I agree.
interest in others and
Yeah, I
being
agree.
able to.
I I would suggest that we all go back and read it.
Yeah.
And see what the conclusions say, and be prepared to discuss it with them
Yes,
at a
yeah.
future meeting. Do we have to vote on that, or can we just?
We don't have to vote.
Okay.
I don't think so. We're just.
Correct. Yeah, this-
discussing-
Just a discussion.
Yeah, so inviting them to the December meeting and us doing that homework that you recommend sounds like a great idea. It just sort of ties into the mission of the CRRB is to identify and recommend actions to preserve the resources of the county. So this is part of identifying, discussing whether any of them need actions.
Absolutely. So unless there's no other questions, we can go on to the next update
Okay.
of grant number 2, the Cultural Resource Interpretation Program. So in total, there were 13 historic markers and 27 interpretive panels installed at 15 different county parks and locations. And so there was one left out of that photo document there that you've got. It was in Nocatee, the southern part of Nocatee, so there was just one photo that we left out, and unfortunately, but all of the installed signs are there.
They're great. They, especially if you're bicycling and
Yeah,
go through past one of these sites, they're fabulous to just be reminded of the history or even learn about the history.
I agree. It actually exceeded our expectations as well, just, the quality of the signage and how well you're able to see them from a distance, kind of eye-catching. And so to have them at each individual park and have a history of each park is very beneficial.
What was the one from Nocatee?
It's the southern one. I think there was a discussion on cattle ranching. It's the Spanish Landing area.
Okay.
There's 2 entrances there to the
Right,
Nocatee
right.
Preserve. And so it was the southern preserve that we were just missing the one
Okay.
photo on.
Gives you all an excuse to get out there and go
It
see
really
it.
does, yeah, no kidding, yeah.
Okay, questions about either of these studies? Any public discussion or
Yes, thank you.
recognize Sally?
Yes, I'm still going blind from looking at all the data. What I was trying to do is to crosswalk between the old survey, and I've got the Excel master file from 2014. And when you read this report, it's difficult to cross-reference the site number with the old and the new, and a lot of these have been destroyed. And I've prepared a letter for the board to have you consider what we should do as the Volano Beach Main Street group as a result of the survey. Specifically, we've got a lot of properties, and right now, developers are coming in with bulldozers and want to tear them down. And one way we preserved Magic Beach was the culturally significant designation. And I'd like to be clear on that moving forward. Is that process still the same? And if it is, then what we as Main Street would like to do is to write the respective property owners and explain historic tax credits as well as the value of their property and to the community as well as themselves, and what advantages they can have if they do have tax credits to rehab it or whatever. So it's just an awareness type discussion, if you would, to take Volano at heart, and let's try to preserve and conserve. Before Trey left, I did meet with him. I got the FTP site, and he and that's a difficult site to download from. It took me 3 trips, but I went back in and I did get the reports. But I had given him a couple of documents, one of which was the Bluebird of Happiness as a culturally significant icon, and Haley's Court sign, which is there and dilapidated and needs restoration. We also have a small marker at the bottom of that particular structure to indicate that it is historically significant. Well, not historically, but culturally significant. So the letter is just a request of the board to continue the discussion on behalf of Volano Beach Main Street and all the properties therein. And one of the things that I noticed in the study I've been asked by Tallahassee to update the master files because of the hurricane. So I have to report back. And a lot of the property they identified on the town center area was listed on Farrell Road. Well, the edge of our town center is the north side of Farrell Road, not the south side. And some of the properties on the master file currently are on Farrell Road in the 1950s ranch-style homes and so forth. Another number of properties in the CRA area go deep into Surfside, like the Sinclair Lewis house.
Yeah.
It's not in the survey.
No, apparently this says it's only properties fronting on
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
Contiguous to
Yeah, that's
A1A.
unfortunate, because
Yeah.
Sinclair Lewis House, for anybody that's been
I
in
know,
there,
I know.
is just like walking into 1930.
Right,
It's
right.
beautiful, the way the owners have preserved it, and that they really respect
Yeah,
that.
Dawn and her husband really have done a good job.
Yeah.
But what we would like to do is to continue the community education on what we've got in Milano and just continue the discussion and dialogue. We might not be able to save some of the
Yeah.
oldies, but at a minimum, I'd like to preserve the history as far as photographs and this was a site where, type of thing. So anyway,
that's my
Well, thank you. If this could be scanned and distributed to the board, that would be great.
Definitely.
And then we could, if we could, as we discussed at the next meeting, one of the agenda items would be a hopefully a presentation, at least, very least homework, and then discussion of this survey and with the participation of Sally's group, Volano Main Street.
Okay, so that I'm clear what we're requesting. We are going to call the consultant to see if they will phone in. In lieu of that, if they say no, they're not going to phone in, we as staff can try to distill down some of the major points into a presentation.
Where are they located?
Outside of the area.
Oh.
I think their main part where the main person who did the work is in Pennsylvania. I think they do have a
really?
satellite office in Jacksonville.
But the individual that did it was on site, right?
Right, and
Yeah.
it's exactly, and
Did
wrote the
a-
report, obviously.
Yeah. Phone in or ideally teleconference in,
Okay.
yeah.
And then would a second agenda item be the Volano Main Street presentation? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that'd probably be the best way to do it.
Okay. Get all that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Good.
and we'll have the benefit of the letter that was just delivered. Good.
Thank you for the group offering to do that. That sounds like a very worthwhile thing.
Yeah. Okay, so is there any, okay, we're at any other general public comments? I guess we've had our public comment. Board member comments, reports, board members.
Can I ask a quick question about the Hastings High School, or Hastings School, I guess? The gym, has anything happened with that yet, or?
I have heard nothing more on the Hastings High School. As you probably know, one of the Board of County Commissioners, Commissioner Arnold, was recommending that the school be open to, I think, the technical center to have some classes out there. I don't know if that's in the works, but we've heard nothing, different on that issue.
Okay.
So what is the status of we have, this board has recommended county, it's all already on the national register.
Correct.
So I guess it was almost 2 years ago now that.
Yeah, it was before COVID, because we were all together.
And we toured the building for anyone that's,
Yeah.
you have probably not been in it. It has a gem of it's referred to as a gymnasium, but it's more than a gymnasium. It's beautifully done, room, large assembly room with a stage and a proscenium, a balcony. Obviously, they had basketball games there, but it was designed for all kinds of use, apparently, and would make a wonderful performance space if it could be brought back. Parts of the building are deteriorated. There's a wing that's is more utilitarian for food service or other functions that is lower, and have a lot of windows are need replacement, and a ton of asbestos, probably most likely. I think we were all heard that there was a lot of asbestos and leaking roof sections, but the gym area, auditorium area, was pretty pristine when we were there and saw it. So it's part of the larger, is it 2 or 3 story building?
It's a two-story building.
Two-story building. So anyway, it's I've not read in detail the nomination, but I assume it's well described in the nomination, the national register.
Yes, it is.
And is the county still at least upkeeping, performing standard? I mean, I'd hate to see
I-
it just,
Yeah.
That's not in our area. I mean,
Yeah.
I do think what they're doing, because it still has a library wing
Okay.
to it. So people are still going in and out of the building. But as, you know, Mr. Olson has said, that it does need a lot of work, particularly on the second level, is where we're finding most of the issues, with the leaking in the windows and things like that. I don't know with Commissioner Arnold's request, if they're looking to, actually get some numbers together on what it would take to actually move in that direction of getting, some classes out there.
The library component is still operating
Yes.
in one wing of it. Uh, uh, I guess, well, who in the county would be able to further update on the status of it?
I guess that would be Katie Diaz.
Katie Diaz, yeah.
She's the,
Our facilities maintenance.
yeah, she does all of the buildings facility maintenance. So that would be the individual that I think could give the best update.
could we have her come to a meeting at some point?
We
Maybe
can
next
see.
meeting?
Uh-huh.
That would be
Yeah,
wonderful.
that'd be great.
That's possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we got a substantive meeting for December. We already have two.
What else can we do?
Okay. Any other board reports or input? Okay.
I got my homework ready.
I'd just like to say that it's too bad that Trey left. I thought he was doing a really good job.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll say that too. I think having, I know that the Cultural Resources Coordinator does other things that support the board, but it seems really important for someone with his background and qualifications. He seemed ideal. He was a native of the county, resident of St. Augustine, very enthusiastic about preserving county history, his resources, and was of the proactive type that when this board asked questions or information he brought forth, he seemed very well backgrounded in addressing how you address preservation, the various federal legislation and state processes and local processes. So I hope that we can have another cultural resources coordinator hired. I think state, in order for it to be a certified local government, it's a requirement to have a cultural resources coordinator. Is that correct?
No, that's incorrect. You only have to have a representative that's participating with you, the board. They have to have a board. You have to have a cultural resource board and county staff support for that
Okay,
board.
but-
It does not have to be designated, because we actually looked that up, because making sure we're staying in compliance. All over the state, there's planners, a director of growth management director. There's all different types of individuals that support the Cultural Resource Board. But you are the main component. That is why we are here as staff supporting you. Because we wanted to make sure, because neither of us are carry that title. So we're in compliance.
Okay.
So there is, right now, is there a plan to refill the position that was,
Right, we go through administration, they guide us on all of this. I will tell you, we are horribly backlogged right now with getting positions filled. Because we're starting, it's not necessarily a brand-new process, but it's kind of a new process where we have to go through the personnel department, then things go out on the computer, then we have to go back and forth, and we get different, approvals as we're going down through the line, everyone from the growth management director to the budget director to the personnel director. So it's kind of a larger process right now. And there were a lot of individuals, when you get in the queue, you just have to wait your turn to go through the queue.
So the difference, just out of curiosity, since we are a CLG, who reviews the different, well, specifically in my case, the archaeological reports? Is there, who's
Right now-
qualified to do that, or do you send it back up to the state?
The state reviews it
Okay.
in conjunction with us, and
Okay.
we will do the reviews as well.
Okay.
We do have support on some of our GIS layers, other reports that were done in the area, just knowing some of our critical areas like the Neck Road area. I mean, we do have a map that we don't, reveal too often, but it does have things that we need to be, looking out for in areas that are high, medium, and low probability areas. Whenever you're in one of those, that's when we request the report. And you remember too, these reports are done by professionals, certified professionals.
Right.
So, we rely on these certified professionals, much like with wetlands, we rely on the certified professionals to give us the information.
Okay. Thank you.
Other comments? Okay, I guess we can adjourn.
Well, we do have some staff reports, just
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
before we do
I
that.
thought we had all the stuff. Darn.
Yeah.
We want to talk more.
Just so you know, we're not looking at the minutes today, but we will in December.
Yeah.
But I've added, and if you have the minutes with you, at the top there, all of the audio files that we have, recordings, are available on the county's YouTube page. So if you just go to YouTube and search St. Johns County Cultural Resource Review Board, all of the dates of the audio files will come up.
Okay, and when did you begin doing audio?
They've been done since
Okay, okay,
for months now.
okay.
Yeah. And so that's one. And then two is a small update on the Canwright House. Just wanted to let everybody know. So I've been talking with Thomas Jackson. He was the gentleman that met with us here a couple of meetings ago. He's with the Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Committee of St. Johns County. There was the other group there too, the 40th Accord Freedom Trail. I believe her name was Elizabeth. She was also here and present. But I've been getting the regular updates from Mr. Jackson. He said that, and this was from middle of September, St. Johns County Parks Foundation, Inc. has officially agreed to receive and disperse funds collected for the project, and this is for the potential relocation of the Canwright House. And so all donations from all sources should be made payable to them with the MLK Beach House project. And so they're developing a GoFundMe account for that. And so they said by this month in October should be up and running and collecting donations. So that's an ongoing process. We've also been talking to Mr. Minaute, who's the owner of the Canwright House, and giving updates as well about the relocation. And, basically we have until the beginning of 2023 to determine, whether it's demolished with salvaging the historic artifacts from the house or relocation if the appropriate funds are available.
Well, that's not too far in the future.
Yeah.
And he sent a letter to the county commission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the letter from the CRRB was sent to the commission, and also the letter of support from the commission was sent out to the groups. And so with that, I believe the last thing is just an update on the December meeting. I believe we have already discussed that. I think you weren't present about about the voting for officers.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
chair and vice chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So that's the only updates we had.
And we'll get copies of the Volano Beach letter?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I'll scan that in and send that out
Okay. I'm
as
going
soon
to
as
give that to
possible.
you, so I don't lose it.
Sure.
Okay, well, Anything else we need to do? Okay, well, I guess we're adjourned.